Hey guys, Stealth here and welcome to Nebulous Fleet Command. This is a game that's been requested a lot of times on my channel, and so far I've held off on it because I didn't exactly feel comfortable covering it. Why? Because it's incredibly deep. Nebulous Fleet Command, in short, this is very short, is like the Expanse battle simulator. In it, you build your fleets, you build your ships, you try and keep your ships alive while eliminating the enemy ships. All of this while working with intelligence, using and managing your own radars, using and managing your own jammers, trying to break through the enemy jammers, using missiles that you can slingshot around objects, using, for example, a group of 4 ships, but you only have 1 with an active radar, to make sure you don't get picked up. It's incredibly deep. And I feel like I know about 10 to 15% of it. So, if this video is incomplete, that is why, but I wanted to cover it nonetheless. So, let me show you around quickly. I'm going to start with the fleet editor. Currently, you got 2 alliances. You got the Shelter Alliance and the Outlying Systems Protectorate. Between these two, you can set up your fleets. So, I'm going to load an existing fleet, and thankfully there are some, because otherwise you'd be kind of, well, you might have been a bit lost, considering that you don't know what to put on these ships. This here is Task Force Oak. When you're building a fleet or a task force, you're getting a specific number of points, and with that you can buy a specific number of ships. You can buy the size of ships, and of course you could have, for example, 1 battleship, or 4 smaller ships, or in this case 2 cruisers. So this is the Oxford class heavy cruiser. Now all of this, what you see on the left, is on the ship. So the main guns for this ship are these Mark 66 cannons. These are class 4 cannons. I'm not sure what the class 3, 2 or 1 is. Best used in short range engagements on slow targets where the full explosive power of the guns can be put to the full effect. They fire 450 millimeter chemical ballistic shells. Now, these things do have, of course, a bit of a different accuracy. Shorter range, better accuracy, longer range, somewhat less. Do they have an integrated fire control system? Nope, you're going to have to provide that on another system. They have an autoloader, they have a cycle system, they reload in 20 seconds. All of these stats are part of this weapon system. You could make the case, well, that's a nice gun, but we're going to have to do a little bigger. I would like the Mark 81 railgun. Now, this probably does, yeah, it does fit on the ship. It's a 6x3x6 type weapon. You can see that the railgun, for example, is more accurate. But just being more accurate and maybe hitting the target at range doesn't necessarily make an instant win. The railgun might be nice. It has 300 millimeter magnetic rounds. They defeat armor with ease, but lack the explosive payload uses to reduce the killing power of these weapons. So the Mark 66 has a lot of HE. Essentially, this thing has a lot of AP, but doesn't really have the punching power to finish up with it. So, as usual, a mix is generally better. Now, when it comes to weapons, I also have a couple of defensive weapons. These are the PDT, the point defense turrets. You got a couple of small ones, at least available. You got the Defender, it's a Mark 20. It only has a range of 1 kilometer, but then again, you only want these things to be firing their 20mm slugs the moment that a missile gets too close. You got the Rebound, which fires 50mm flak rounds, detonating roughly in proximity to the approaching threat. So basically putting up a wall of explosive power and hoping that you catch something. The Stonewall PDT, pretty similar, 50mm 50mm time-fused explosive rounds. You got the Aurora tactical laser system. This works different. This one targets individual missiles. This one is more, I'm going to put up a lot of explosives in the path of the missiles and hope that I hit something. So this is more of a specific, I need this particular missile gone type weapon. And then you got the Sarissa, the Alliance's answer to the difficulty of hitting modern multi-stage missiles after the sprint vehicle separates. So these fire a minuscule projectile at high velocities, which can really destroy an unprotected target like a missile. So all of these have their advantages and their disadvantages. Now, this is just the type of weapon that you can have. There is so much more. How do I get out of this menu? You also have a couple of launchers, the VLS launcher or a vertical launch system. So these guys fire missiles, and these missiles can have all sorts of different elements, which I'm not going to get into in this particular video. You also need to be able to actually detect your targets. So for that we have a bullseye radar, high-powered turreted fire control radar. So with this you can lock onto a target and then you can engage it. What else do we have on the ship? Regular compartments, essentially. All of these, let's say, interior blocks. There's a couple of reactors, there's damage control lockers, there's a reinforced magazine. If you don't like what is there, you can replace it with something else. So you say, you know, the large damage control locker is not what I need. I need a rapid damage control locker, so that my teams have faster access to it. Fine, you put that on your ship. Bulk magazines, I got a couple of empty compartments, so I might still be able to put more on it. You have ammunition elevators in order to get these weapons stocked with the ammo that you have inside of those weapon lockers. We've got a spyglass radar, we have an adaptive radar receiver. So this one figures out, hey, I'm being pointed at by a radar. And with that, it gives you a warning saying, dude, you're about to get shot at, most likely. On the right side, you got the ship stats. I'd like to go over them and tell you all what they are, much in the style of Ultimate Admiral Dreadnoughts, but I can't. Because I simply don't know enough about them yet. I don't know what is good, I don't know what is bad. So far, I've just been playing with the stock ships. You can also set these two ships up in their initial formation, so they're going to be side by side, which means that they share their firepower and they share their defensive firepower, allowing you to have your ships protected from, let's say, both directions, and have a greater chance of surviving an incoming missile storm. Missile designers, you can get your own missiles designed here. I am not going to go into this, because I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. Now, a couple of bigger ships are, of course, also available. You got, what I was using was the CH, the heavy cruiser. There are eventually also going to be battleships that you can pick from. Because if I go and say I want to have a new fleet, and I'm going to be using the Shelter Alliance. I want to have, no, I don't want to have a missile. I want to have a different type of ship. Currently, it's a frigate. I don't want a frigate, but I can't delete it. Fleet composition, can I have a new ship? Yes, please, from a ship template. This is just the frigates. I want to have a blank hull, and I want to have the Solomon class battleship. Now the point cost for these is 1,000, whereas opposed to the heavy cruiser that I just showed you is 600. So as you're building your fleet, you could make the case for having a bigger ship, but you're going to have fewer of them. In this case, the battleship is going to have tons and tons of room, and might be able to fit weapons that you otherwise might not be able to fit. Then again, it's going to be down to your preference. It's going to have strong sides, it's going to have weak sides. And that is what makes this game so interesting. Because you can also fight players. And that means that the formation that you have one time is going to work very, very well. And the next, you're going, yeah, no, I just got completely destroyed. Now, to be fair, I haven't done any kind of PvP yet. So far, I've only been trying to survive in a skirmish. The game is going to have a campaign, eventually. Right now, it does not. It only has the Fleet Academy and the Missileer School. So how to use missiles and how to throw those around asteroids. For now, let's go into a skirmish. I am going to be using an AI as my ally, and I am going to be playing with Task Force Oak. That's those two cruisers that I just showed you. So I got Mark 66 cannons, I got a Mark 68 cannon, I have 2 Auroras and 2 Stonewall point defense turrets, I have a bullseye radar, that's that radar fire controller, and I have a VLS. So I can launch missiles at them. And the other ship, the Moral Failing, is going to have the exact same loadout. This is going to be a group of brawling heavy cruisers. Low macro fleet, ideal for new players. I like it. My ally is going to have a different task force. I'm going to give them Task Force Birch, 3 light cruisers, which excel at hunting down and destroying support ships. Because there's going to be this rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock model, where one target is good at fighting another target, but, for example, a battleship might not be the best at targeting corvettes, because maybe the corvettes are just going to run rings around it, or the battleship cannot get a proper lock, whereas a light cruiser would be more suitable. We're going to go up against, let's say, the Protectorate, or shall we do the Alliance? Task Force Hemlock. No, how about I give them Task Force Ash? Difficulty hard. When fighting it, you need to get extremely close to make use of the destroyer's beams. I think it's going to be hard to use, but I'm not sure. Anyway, let's give them Task Force Birch. And the other is going to get Task Force Oak. So they're also going to get the cruisers. So they're going to have the same type of loadout I have. And now it is time to battle. When you're trying to fight, you have a couple of different modes. You got Station Capture. I believe Control is the most played, where you're basically trying to hold as many control points as you can. Time limit, I'm going to set at 30 minutes. And victory points is 1,000. So, let's begin. When you're loading into the battle, you're faced with this results or with this screen. You can see that I have the other ships coming in: the Wild Air, the Arced Peace, and the Ruby of 80. They're coming in from a lower vector, and I'm going to be trying to come into, let's say, point C. So I'll bring both of my ships, and I'll deploy them from this general direction. That way I can try and capture point C, and ideally we'd meet up in the middle and take points A and B. The deal with this game is that, as opposed to what you might be used to, it's a 3D battle space. This means that, for example, with let's say a standard strategy game, you got 2 axes. So you got just a flat map, and then you have aircraft above it. This is a 3D battle space, which works a little different. Here we go. Expanse style, you're coming in engines first to slow yourselves down. And then it's time to do some battle. I have found, though, that like the first 10 minutes or so, it is entirely possible you won't actually see anything. But that is fine. Where's the moral failing at? Did I do something wrong already? Where's the moral failing? The hell? Oh, you're all the way up there. Yeah, I already did something wrong. Okay, so the moral failing did come in from the vector that I thought it would. The other ship did not. Now, what you have is 2 different modes of play, or 2 different vision modes. I believe I'm now in the tactical mode, so I got the moral failing, and you can see what the ranges are. If I go and hit space again, you're just going to be looking at the moral failing itself. So this ship has the forward and aft firing weapon systems, and then a weapon system on the belly. So you're also trying to position the ship in such a way that you can actually make it work, i.e., can you put it in such a position where all of your weapons can actually fire? Now, moving the camera in the 3D space is also a bit of taking used to. Click. No. Move. I want you to move to a position, and I want to go to a different height. And I want to go, like, over there. That's in the general direction. The problem now is, I am not having my ships together. The value judgment came in with the allied ships. Now, I can form up with the allied ships. I can also try and get all the way up to the moral failing, but that thing is 11 clicks out. It can take a while just to get there. So, I think it is safer for me to try and do that. So, let's go all the way up. And the game is going to go, are you sure? Because you're about to collide with an asteroid. Yeah, I imagine how that might be a problem. Height.
The enemy is securing zone eclipse.
Okay, so the enemy is at point Echo. We're going to go all the way up there. And ideally, I'd link up with the moral failing. Whether that'll work, I don't know. What we can see, sort of, is contacts. Let me try and get something of a visual. Here we are. The problem is, I can see something shooting, but I can't actually see it yet. Because right now, we don't know enough. So what I can try and do is have the value judgment lock onto this with a radar. And that way we're going to get a little bit more information about what's going on with this target. Where is it going? Where is it actually? Because right now I can't even see it. I can't even see it. I can't even see it yet. I can't see it, so I can't actually shoot it very well. The enemy does not seem to have that problem, and they are opening up against the Ruby of 80 and the Arced Peace. The Wild Air is just coming up behind that asteroid, so it should be fine. But the Ruby of 80 is definitely taking some fire. This is just straight up fire. Ah, there we go. I think briefly we got a visual on some of these targets. Now, this situation is actually quite good. The ships there are together and we can see them. The problem, however, is if one of those ships has a jammer, and I'm not sure they do, they can throw up a whole load of projected ships. So that your radars, your targeting radars just get absolutely confused and can't actually do anything useful. Now at this rate it does look like my cruisers here, my allied cruisers, are taking a bit of a beating. Especially the Arced Peace right now is coming under fire. Whether this ship is going to survive or not, I don't know, but you can definitely see that it has some scorch marks on her hull. When you're playing this game, you also got to keep in mind, you got armor-piercing shells and HE, so high explosive shells. Pick your target and make sure that you have the right ammunition for the job. Moral failing is already failing. No, I am failing. Because I am not actually putting this ship on the right position. So I need to move down to this position. Again, 3D battle space, it is taking a bit of time to figure this out. The value judgment is in a pretty bad position because she can't help her allies and she can't capture anything. So what I can do is continue on my course and just navigate this big pillar one way, or I can try to go around this thing, and I think that might be preferential at this point. So we're going to go to the position here, position, and then elevate like there. I might be able to navigate through this gap and finally be able to help out these light cruisers. Can we finally see something here? No, it's still all very uncertain what we're shooting at. But they can definitely see us. And sadly, beyond some visuals, I don't know what the status of these ships is. What I do know is that my own ships have a damage counter on the bottom right hand side. They have damage repair teams, and you can see just how many systems I have on this ship. Now there is a tutorial for this, so don't worry. There is a lot that you can learn from simply following the tutorials, and I've tried to go through as many of those as possible, but still, not everything is clear to me yet. So all of these things can get damaged. Your reactor, I believe, can go critical or can explode or whatever the right term is, and it just leaves a big-ass bloom behind it, where other ships that are caught in the explosion of the blast are also in trouble, putting it mildly. Now it looks like the Ruby of 80 is either stuck or has taken so much damage that she's inoperable. Yeah, she's getting completely hammered. This is really not good. The enemy has captured Eads because all of their ships are here. Here, they just passed through this point. I seem to have finally done something right, and I captured this. So now I can use the moral failing to start pushing in on these groups here. I want to try and link up and make sure that I actually have some useful impact on this battle. And we're going to go down. that way.
Aye, Commander. We're moving.
So there's the failing. And here's the judgment.
Reporting.
But this is how the game shows you just how critical positioning is. Because if you mess this up, like I'm doing right now, because I'm still learning the game, then you're going to find that potentially by the time that you get to a useful spot, your allies are all dead.
Aye, aye. Full burn.
Okay, so we're going to go through that gap. It does look like the arced piece is returning fire. Yeah, so we know it's a warship. Yeah, I imagine that. Hold on, did you just die? We lost all info on these ships, which means that potentially the arced piece over here lost their... Yeah, I think the ship's dead. It lost their radar, or it lost its comms equipment, because we simply can't see them anymore. We can still see weapons fire coming out of these ships, but that's about it. And my ships, I suspect, are... Yeah,
Go ahead, Command.
there we go. Now we can see them again. We actually get a visual on them now. No, we still can't. They're 7 kilometers out, which is not good, because that's too far away for my weapons to be useful, I believe. Now, we have 2 points, they have 2 points. Our scores are fairly even. So, much like a sort of capture the flag mode, it's going to take more points than the enemy if you want to start ticking faster than they are. Come on, we're going to go all the way down here. We're going to get stuck in, because this is supposed to be a brawling cruiser. These ships definitely have a feel to them with regards to weight. It takes a while for these things to maneuver. It takes a while for these things to turn around. So all of those factors you will also have to keep in mind. And this is why I said earlier that a battleship might have a really rough time against a corvette. Because perhaps a corvette is going to be capable of either outrunning it or outmaneuvering it, making it very, very difficult for that battleship to actually get a couple of good shots off. Now the arced piece seems to have given up. And you can see that there are little lifeboats popping out of the arced piece. So the ship is definitely abandoning ship, or the crew is abandoning ship. The lifeboats are coming off of it. That does not mean that this ship can be disregarded. If you keep firing at it and the reactor goes critical, it can cause a massive explosion, which could be dangerous to the value judgment over there. So potentially I am at risk here. Now where's my other ship? There's the moral failing. Moral failing is still about 5 clicks out. Let's light them up with our radar and open up with the main guns.
Attack.
Finally, after 10 minutes, I'm going to try and get stuck in. Even though I still can't very well see them. Because it looks like they might be running some jammers. Otherwise, I believe I would be getting a lock. Yeah, there we go. The arc piece is down. The Ruby of 80 is also down. But I'm finally getting some damage in. And we know it's a heavy cruiser. So this is one of those other ships that are basically the same ships I have. And ideally, we are going to hit them with armor-piercing shells. And open up. I'm going to tell the moral failing to do the same thing. Because I'm not sure if my HE shells are actually going to be doing anything useful. They've definitely spotted the moral failing. And the failing is pushing in quickly. But, of course, also coming under fire. Let's see. The rear guns should also be engaging. But I doubt they have an angle right now. What I could do is turn the ship starboard. If there is such a thing in space. Ah, there we go. There's the ship right now. There's their moral failing and there's their value judgment. Gotta say, the graphics do look really good. My ship's taking absolute pounding here.
Commander, we've lost a module.
We've lost a module. So we're losing thrusters, compartments, more thrusters. We've lost the bullseye radar. The ship's getting absolutely hammered. And by the looks of it, it'll soon be dead.
Reporting.
The value judgment, still a little bit farther away, is definitely not taking as much fire. But sooner rather than later, she too will come under attack. Yeah, she's already taken some damage. This is a Wild Air Voxel class, another one of the Voxels.
Component destroyed.
So, my positioning was completely horrible. And I basically left my allies to die. I'm not sure if the AI played this well. I just simply can't speak to that. I don't know the game well enough. I want to get better at it though. And that's also partly why I'm posting this video, in case you were wondering. Why is he posting a video of a game that he's not certain about yet? Well, in order to make myself a better player.
Getting a lock.
In order to get better at the game. Okay, let's start doing some damage against this guy, please. Interestingly, it seems that they've ignored, or are ignoring, the moral failing right now. In order to murder the value judgment, which seems to be working. I could try escaping, but I rather doubt that the ship's going to be able to move away from her current position. Simply because she's been very badly damaged. She's lost 14 components, and 2 of them have been disabled. So she can still maneuver, but it's gonna be difficult. She's gonna have a really rough time with it. It's gonna be maybe possible to throw the ship around, but I don't believe there's such an element as I'm going to show you my healthy side, so you don't keep damaging the shit out of the weaker sides. Yeah, thruster power very low. We got 51% thruster power, and you can see that our speed is very, very slowly accelerating. It's not good enough.
They are chewing us up here.
Yeah, they're chewing us up. There's not a whole lot that I can do, unfortunately.
DC team support status.
Ready.
Now, I do have missiles on these ships, but honestly, I have simply forgotten how to use them.
Reporting fires on multiple decks.
I mean, normally I believe it is weapons and then you just pick a weapon, but... Or should I do it from the ship itself? Ceasefire, signaling...
Component destroyed.
Locking on.
That's the moral failing. She also has only 61% thruster power. Her VLS is not destroyed. So exactly why I cannot launch, I don't know.
DC team support status.
Electronic warfare, no. Weapons. It should be under weapons. You can fire at position, you can fire at a visual target, I think. I'm not sure.
They are chewing us
At any rate, they're completely chewing me up. They're definitely going to win this fight. The value judgment now has critical thruster power left, which is only 46%. Sensor cover is degraded. I only have 3 out of 4 sensor panels left. So if I rotate too much, I might not even be able to get a good line of sight anymore.
At the ready, Commander.
The moral failing seems to have done a pretty good job at, well, mostly eliminating the Ruby of 80 over here. Now I'm going to target this guy with the primary AP shells.
It'll be done, Commander.
Let's lock on that one.
Zeroing in.
We're starting to fall apart here.
And potentially we can still do some damage.
Fall apart here, Command.
If we can hit their thrusters, that'd be great, because they'd be stuck there. The thing is, I'll probably lose the value judgment before I'm able to take this cruiser down. And here's their other cruiser, which is still opening up. I'm not sure if they're drifting or not, but both their top and bottom turrets are not actually turning to engage me. Intel's pending on this ship.
Chewing us up here.
We got 36 damaged components and destroyed components now. I believe the ship is starting to slow down rather than speed up. So, if possible, I'd say it's time to to commence the Janeway Pi 110 suicide self-destruct feature and either ram into something or blow up the ship one way or another, ideally close to the enemy. These guys are reversing. Shots going in. 44 damaged components, destroyed components. I potentially have a problem with the reactor. The damage control parties are running off to try and fix as much as they can. Yeah, one of the reactors has been damaged and is in need of repair. Has been repaired. No. I think it's been destroyed. Sadly. Now this cruiser of theirs is also not doing too hot. I mean, the amount of impacts that you can see on the hull here is substantial. And I think that their thrusters on this side might be down. This point defense turret might be down. We're slamming into their weapons as much as possible. Although I don't believe you can actually specifically target a set of weapons. So it's basically luck of the draw. And, of course, with the enemy this close to point Delta, they've captured it. So they're now taking more points for the Delta side. Or for their whole team, essentially. I'm quite happy that they didn't actually eliminate the moral failings. Failings? Failing. They're just, for some reason, trying to murder the value judgment altogether. I haven't seen... Oh, there we go. Yeah, she's still... Yeah, there we go. She's shooting back at the moral failings now. Is it possible for me to head back to capture point Alpha? Let's go over here. Move order. Position. And then down. Here. There. This might throw off my ability to aim at the target though, so that's a risk. And with very low thruster power, it's going to take me a while just to get there. I'm very surprised to see that none of these other ships are actually engaging me right now. But I'm not unhappy about it. Problem is, I'm going to take increasing amounts of damage. And with that, I don't know if I can even make it to that point where I'm trying to head to before getting destroyed. There's fire aboard the ship. Damage control should be on that. It's an ammunition elevator that's on fire. Whoops. That's problematic. Better get on that. Is that also impeding my ability to shoot the target?
They knocked out a module. Outgoing.
Rear gun is trying to acquire the target.
We have you loud and clear.
Come on. We're increasing distance, so hopefully that's going to throw off their accuracy a bit. Stern gun firing. Missed. Oh, their moral failings is also moving in again. I think because my sensor panels are... Yeah, we lost the target. Did they knock out your radar?
We lost a module.
Yeah, we lost the radar panel. I think this is basically done. They got the points, they got the ships. I might be able to capture A, but it's probably not going to work. So, I'm going to end it here. This is Nebulous Fleet Command. There is still a ton for me to learn. So if you have any suggestions, videos that I really must watch, things that I really need to know before I do this again, by all means, let me know down below in the comments. Any suggestions are much appreciated. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. Would you like to see more of this game? I think it has a lot of potential. It's very interesting. The real question is it interesting to watch? Because there is a lot going on. And the reason why I haven't covered this is because I felt that half the video I would probably be trying to educate you guys on what is actually happening insofar as I know myself. So let me know down below in the comments what your thoughts are. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again soon for more videos.